Real quick, right before the video starts, you guys, I just wanted to give a very big thank you. We hit 500 subscribers. I know in the grand scheme of things on YouTube, that is seemingly nothing, with the PewDiePies running around and whatnot. But just the fact I can play this Godzilla game and have 500 people subscribe, like me or my content, means a lot, and I appreciate it more than you can ever know. With that said, we are halfway there, so I will see you guys at 1,000. Let's make it happen. Hello, welcome back to another Godzilla Battleline video. Today we're going to be doing our Season 13 tier list. We actually recorded this 2 days ago, but I forgot to hit the record button. So we're going to be doing our tier list a little differently today. I already made it, so we're just going to go through it in order from S to D and give my opinion on everything as we go along. So starting out with our best unit in the game, Batra. Everyone knows Batra is S tier. I don't think anyone is disputing that. It's been several months now. Batra's just been extremely dominant. It's a flyer, so it can't get hit by ground. It provides a damage boost that has an AoE effect. And Batra's attack damage alone is one of the highest in the game while being a flyer. Pretty quick. Evolution's easy. Batra is just pretty nuts. Fyrodan is on the same level pretty much, but differently. Fyrodan's not really as much of a carry damage-wise, even though he does do pretty nice damage. It's more of what Fyrodan does utility-wise, with speed boosting, healing your leader, and just flying out really fast and being able to take out Super X's and things like that. Fyrodan is just really good even if you don't have Batra. He synergizes with Batra extremely well. They're just very easy S tier picks. Next is Super X, and Super X, if you have heard me talk about Super X, you know I think it's insanely broken. It has the highest range in the game. Range is the most valuable stat in the game. It has low health, but because its range is so high, and it does have pretty decent damage for, you know, what it is. You know, if you're comparing it to like a 4-star, its damage really isn't that far off for a carry. And it hits things first. Super X will always engage in combat first, and then you have like half the map to get something in front of Super X to shield it while it keeps doing DPS. It can sit behind the leader and stall. It's just a very, very strong unit. It's a 3-star, so it's pretty easy to get to like level 30 compared to like a 4-star. It's a very solid carry, and I imagine most players, you know, use Super X in all ranks pretty much. Next is, we'll just do Train Bomb and Energy Base together. They're kind of just the yin and yang. You run trains to take out Energy Base. Usually I rank Energy Base above Train Bombs because I think Energy Base is broken, if you know me, but Train Bomb is become pretty damn broken because it can take out Energy Base, which is, you know, something that needs to be taken out. It's already good. So then it gets a cost reduction to where it's pretty much a 3-cost spell that does like around 1,000 damage in a horizontal line all the way across the entire map. So even if you're not using it to take out Energy Base and you just have it on your team, now that it's 3 cost and you can place it wherever you want, it is pretty spammable and can help you in pushes. The second tick, or the first tick, doesn't hit flyers, so it does work a lot better on ground units. But even the second tick does around like upwards of 500 damage at level 30. And 500 plus damage on a flyer is, you know, it's a lot of damage still. Like 500 is usually what most units are doing each attack. So Train Bomb is just really, really oppressive and very easy to run right now. Energy Base is always what it has been. I don't think it makes Energy Base worse. It's still the same. It's just Train Bomb is more common now. So, you know, it's like a pick your poison thing. And both are kind of, you know, you could run both as well, which is really broken in my opinion. But moving on from, you know, I hate the train and Energy Base meta. I really do. I use, you know, both because it's kind of necessary. If I'm trying to compete with like the best players, I have to use what's strong. Like, I hate Super X too, but I use it. But Energy Base and Train Bomb is just very, very bad for the game. I just don't like, it's like you're forced to use one of them or both of them, or they just have too much impact on the matches, especially at the very top levels of play, because, you know, everyone's really good up there, so they can make the most out of every unit. But moving on, Biollante is next. So I was kind of hard on Biollante because, you know, she did get the attack nerf, which does hurt her on Tokyo, and it still does. But Biollante at the end of the day is a 3-cost, easy evolution, still gets the water damage buff, which, you know, it isn't that noticeable from the nerf. She still feels like she hits really hard in water. And she has the best ground AoE clear in the game. It might take 2 hits to take out Kamacuras now, but if you are running something like a Godzilla 89, you definitely need AoE to clear out swarms. Biollante is kind of the best option for that. She's just very easy to throw in. She has very nice health pool for a 3-cost, so she could, you know, act as like a pseudo tank. Biollante is just really good, and I can't see her really being bad ever. I don't even think she needs nerfs. She's pretty balanced for the most part as far as the meta is right now. Maybe down the line. She is very strong stat-wise for a 3-cost though. Next is Kamacuras. I ranked Kamacuras above Biollante and Anguirus before, but at the end of the day, they do have an issue where they're not 4-stars. Like, Biollante can get infinitely stronger, so people with level 30 Biollantes are, you know, compared to a level 30 Anguirus, the Biollante is going to win. But for the most part, Biollante does stack up well into Kamacuras and Anguirus, especially on water maps. On Tokyo, Anguirus can pretty much 1v1 Biollante like no problem. On water maps, Anguirus still, you know, trades very well with Biollante, but Biollante has the AoE spread, so, you know, she could hit multiple things. So for that reason, I put Biollante above them. But as far as Kamacuras goes, it's very, you know, everyone knows what Kamacuras does. It's just so easy to throw in your team. It's not that Kamacuras is going to do more damage and, like, win you the game, like, more than, like, Leo, Destoroyah, King Caesar. You know, they're not going to, like, contribute as much visually, but because they're so easy to play, they're 2-cost, and they help so much on defense, they just, you know, they deserve the high spot just because of how easy they are to play. Like, everyone could use Kamacuras. Now, jumping to Anguirus, everyone could use Anguirus as well, but Anguirus is a type of unit where you have to level him up to see his most, you know, to see him be efficient. Kamacuras, you can get them at 20, and they're pretty much going to perform how they perform at 30. Like, yeah, they're going to do more damage. They might tank an extra shot, but Kamacuras as a whole don't need that to contribute as much as, like, Anguirus does. Because Anguirus' whole thing is tanking. So he needs as much health as he can get to tank as much as he can do, because that contributes to, like, what he provides for your team. But Anguirus has 4,400 health. Feel like a broken record saying that. It's insanely tanky for 4 costs. The only thing that kind of makes Anguirus balanced is, you know, he doesn't do anything else. He hits decently, you know, but most of the time he's not attacking. Even if he does do damage, the only time it's really impactful is when he's on the leader tanking, and then that extra, you know, 700 to 800 damage he provides is pretty nice. But Anguirus is super solid, you guys. As far as, like, below 4 stars go, I highly recommend it. You just have to invest a lot into him. You can't, like, whimsically throw him in. Next is Mothra Leo. So Mothra Leo may be too high. I really don't know, because Leo just has kind of a weird complex to him. So Leo doesn't do anything for you defensively, right? He just doesn't help you on defense. But offensively, he is one of the strongest flyers in the game because he performs as a charge. Like, he performs as like a charge damage dealer at first, and then he transforms into like a tank. And yeah, his health isn't super high. Like, my level 12 is like 2,600, but you get up to like level 20s and 30s, his health does pass 3,000, which is very, very tanky for a flyer because they can't get hit by ground units. So the hardest Mothra Leo can get hit is like Batra, and she can kind of body Batra with a charge. So Leo does have a lot of things going for him, but like I said, does not contribute much defensively. So you kind of just have to have a very strong deck to be able to run Leo, so you can play offensively the entire time. So it's pretty much easier to run Leo if you're stronger, I guess, because you're playing more offensively. Or if you're like a weaker player, feeling like you're, you know, like really trying to grind for victories right now, you're not as strong as some of the other people you're playing, Leo's probably not going to help you because you're going to be playing more defensively and looking for windows rather than pushing super hard. Next is King Caesar, the other charge unit. So I've said King Caesar and Leo aren't that similar, but they are similar, but they aren't. King Caesar does do different jobs than Mothra Leo. When I use them, I do not play them exactly the same. Like units like Ultima and Super X, I do deploy pretty much exactly the same. Units like King Caesar and Leo, I don't. Because King Caesar can hit ground and does a lot more charge damage, he has different jobs. Like the guy next to him, or the chick next to him, Hedorah, he is the best counter to Hedorah. And Biollante. You know, Leo can charge into Biollante and Hedorah, but let's say if Leo charges into Hedorah, she's going to take splash damage and splash into other things. Leo can charge into Biollante and not take damage, but she isn't going to take out, or he isn't going to take out Biollante as fast as King Caesar would. So with King Caesar, it's really all about initial damage. It's all about him doing damage faster than other units can. That is what King Caesar can do. He can hit flyers. It's his downfall. His health is 2,000 at level 30, so he's not exactly the tankiest, but he does hit super hard to where it contributes enough. Now, the reason I dropped King Caesar a little lower was because Kamacuras do exist. Anguirus is also a counter, but honestly, I use King Caesar and Anguirus a lot. And from experience, I don't really like my Anguirus taking King Caesar charges because it kind of takes him out of the whole push. You know, if he loses half his health, he's not going to tank that long on the front lines. So it's way better to use Kamacuras, which is why Kamacuras is also like above it and a really good unit. But the thing is, if they use Kamacuras on your King Caesar, it leaves things like Batra and Fire Rodan to attack, you know, Kamacuras free. But I still think King Caesar is great. The charge damage is a lot. 1,800 to 2,000 is just, that's a nice ass damage number. And it's for sure instant. You just got to play well with King Caesar. You don't want to charge him out like an idiot alone. Obviously, he's going to get countered. You want to send him after your team's pushing, underneath your flyers. So when they're thinking they got to deal with Batra, Fire Rodan, Super X, you're like, okay, let me blitz a King Caesar underneath or on the other side. What are you going to do? That is how you use King Caesar. Next is Hedorah. So I put Hedorah in B tier for quite a long time. I know there's a lot of people that are high on Hedorah. I've made some contradicting statements in the past. Like I said, don't invest in Hedorah in a video. And that wasn't like, it came off as like I was knocking Hedorah, like it's not a good unit, like it's a waste. She's really not. She's always been pretty decent. I just didn't think she had what it took to be like worth the gold sink for most players, because you can only make like a couple decisions as far as your gold goes. Like Super X is still a better option, or Mega-Girus was a better option in the past, I felt like. But now Hedorah does have a role because Anguirus is such a great tank, and Hedorah's splash on Anguirus is pretty goddamn annoying. Not only that, Kamacuras are around, Biollante doesn't do nearly as much damage on Tokyo, and Hedorah just is able to fill some roles that she previously wasn't able to do. Also with King Ghidorah kind of going down with the Mecha-King Ghidorah nerf and the whole evolution ordeal, Hedorah just kind of slides back into meta play. Now, she does still have problems where I feel like with Hedorah, you kind of are playing for overtime because she's not pushing, you know? She just cannot push. She's too slow. So even if you get like a nice trade-off in midfield, they're still gonna regenerate enough energy to counter Hedorah once it gets to the leader. And she only has like 2,200 health. It's not like super high. It's not bad, but it's not super high. The thing that Hedorah does that other units can't is the AoE splash. And if it does hit multiple units, it's essentially like Hedorah's doing, you know, she could potentially be doing like 12,000 damage on 3 separate units, you know, combined, like the total damage combined. But like I said, she is very slow. She does have some counters, but she does play very well into the current meta because Fire Redan and Batra stack so close together, and Anguirus is a slow, beefy tank that kind of likes to sit in the middle so it could splash off from Anguirus onto other things. Kamacuras are around a lot, and the fact that train bombs are taking out energy bases a lot more kind of pushes games to go a little longer, I feel like, which is better for Hedorah because she wants overtime to happen. Hedorah in overtime, the splash feels like it hits everywhere. So I'm pretty high on her this season. Not like anything game-changing, but if you are looking for pieces to rotate in, I feel like Hedorah is doing pretty nice. Next is Destoroyah. So Destoroyah and Godzilla Earth, I'm going to actually talk about together because they're pretty similar. They're under-leveled 4 stars for the most part. But I do feel like Destoroyah and Godzilla Earth are meta-defining 4 stars that will change the meta or are soon going to change the meta. If you've watched my channel, you know I got a level 11 Godzilla Earth. I've beaten a lot of good people with that deck. I'm not like streaking and beating them every time, but I am able to beat like very good high-level people that are higher than me even on my main teams. So the fact that Godzilla Earth can do that at level 11 is really good. Destoroyah is in a similar boat, and I rank Destoroyah above Earth because Destoroyah is not an evolution unit. It's 7 cost, and the piercing attack is very nice. Both of them do have piercing attack, and Dimension Tide is a must-have for Destoroyah and Godzilla Earth, especially for Godzilla Earth. Destoroyah, I haven't used them enough to know if it's an especially, but I would say it's like a 90% sure that you should probably have Dimension Tide with Destoroyah. With Godzilla Earth, it's like 100%, because this guy does so much damage, and his attack speed is so long that you want to make sure he's hitting as many units as possible with his big-ass attack. So Dimension Tide paired with Earth is like it's a one-man army almost. Which is why Dimension Tide is also behind Godzilla Earth and Destoroyah. It pairs well with them. It also pairs well with Hedorah. Dimension Tide's viability kind of depends on how good AoE characters are doing. Like if Hedorah, Destoroyah, and Earth were S tier right now, Dimension Tide would probably be S tier. But because it's Fire Redan, Batra, Super X, which are all single target, Dimension Tide is not doing as well paired with those units. Next is Psychic Chorus. So I was also hard on Psychic Chorus, saying you shouldn't use it. I may have jumped the gun a little hard. The nerf was huge though. Like if we're talking numbers wise, it was a huge nerf. And when something gets nerfed that hard, it's almost like it feels gross to use, so I didn't use it. But healing is really strong. Like after everyone has used Psychic Chorus and then you go back to not using it, there's so many times where you're playing and you're like, damn man, if I just had a heal right now, I'd be chilling. You know, especially on defense, when your leader's getting in the fight, you have units on your leader all taking damage, and you could drop a Psychic Chorus, heal your leader and your units defensively, and push out after that. That is what has become the strongest use for Psychic Chorus instead of those midfield fights. If you're running a 4-star leader too, I feel like it's pretty nice to have Psychic Chorus heal you up. And it's just a decent heal. It's not game-changing, I don't feel. It's why bottom of A. But I feel like it does contribute enough as one of the only controllable heals that it should warrant an A tier, and it is still decent. Next is Godzilla Ultima. Top of B tier. So my thing right now is I don't like evolution units that aren't consistent. because it's not that Ultima is like a bad character. Like, I don't think Ultima is worse than Hedorah. You know, I just don't. But I think how team building works, and because energy bases are going down right now, it's harder to have more energy. It's a lot easier to run lower cost unit spam decks. Fire Redan, Batra, Super X, all 5 costs. If those 3 units are the best in the game right now to me, why would I run a 6 cost Ultima that I have to struggle to evolve when I could just play those 3 S tier units for a cheaper cost? So that is why Ultima is B tier. It's not that he's bad. It's not that he is worse than some other units overall. It's just like how the meta is going and how team building works. And Ultima is not a for sure evolution. Like, I know Batra isn't, and Biollante isn't, and Hedorah isn't, and Fire Redan is, but I know they can die, and you've probably had them die before. But if you do use them, you know, it's like, if you have them die, it's like mad unlucky that you couldn't get something in your hand, or it's just like, you know, it's just super unlucky. And then even if Batra dies, it's like, you're gonna evolve it on the next time. It's not that hard. Tokyo makes it a little harder, but anyways. Terrestrius, I think Terrestrius, you know, could be a little easier to evolve on certain water maps like London. So if you want to make that work. But even when you get Ultima, his DPS is pretty slow. And it's very hard for him to burst through some things like Anguirus, Mothra Leo, Kamacuras. It's very hard for him to get through a lot of tankier units. Biollante still messes him up even on water maps. So he's solid. He's a pretty good sniper, but he is a risky play because he's an evolution unit that isn't consistent, has low DPS, and can struggle to kill things in mass mobs. Next is Mecha-King Ghidorah, who, let me go on a goddamn rant right now. So I already recorded this thing, right, and didn't hit record. So I already did this rant, but I'm a goddamn do it again. What in the actual hell are these developers doing? You're telling me these developers made an announcement. They didn't even they should have honestly written it as, we're just doing a nerf. But they made an announcement that they made a mistake. That they made a mistake of making Mecha-King Ghidorah have faster attack speed. That's unbelievable. It was the only thing that made him different. Oh my gosh, I can't. So, Mecha-King Ghidorah is essentially a skin that gives a 10% damage boost after you evolve it for 45 seconds. What in the goddamn hell are we doing? Holy guacamole, man. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Was Mecha-King Ghidorah pretty strong with that attack speed? Yes. But it was super hard to get him. It was a hard thing to do. I don't even think he was that good because of it. If anything, he probably needed a buff on his evolution time. But the main point to take from this is the incompetence from the devs showing up again, just so incompetent to where they made a bad choice, forgot to put it in the game, and then made an announcement like, hey, no, we're re-putting in our bad choice that we didn't do. Are you guys happy? No, we're not happy. Oh, it's just so frustrating. This game has a lot of potential to be, to change, you know, rapidly every month. Different units showing up in the meta. You know, like next month, it could be Burning Godzilla in S tier, or Space Godzilla. But that doesn't happen. These guys don't make good changes. They don't make enough changes. And when they do make changes, it's bullshit like that. Like, dude, that is so just bad. It's bad, you guys. It's bad. The devs need to play the game more or something. I don't know. But that's just a disgrace. I feel bad for anyone that voted for Mecha-King Ghidorah. Used your vote on all the awesome Godzilla monsters in the franchise, and you get this garbage excuse for... Not only that, it was the month's 4-star. It was the 4-star of the month. It wasn't even like they just dropped it. It was the fucking month's 4-star. I can't. Extremely frustrating. I was originally okay with it before because he was a leader, had a different standing pose, and his attack speed made him look different. But if you're just gonna come out and say like that was a mistake, that we made him different, he was actually just supposed to be a skin with a 10% damage boost, Oh my gosh! But as far as King Ghidorah goes and Mecha-King Ghidorah goes as a unit, same thing as Ultima. 7 cost too. It's really hard to play these high cost units when there's cheaper things that work better. Evolution unit, not high on it, pretty hard consistently. It hurts King Ghidorah's push overall, and then when you get Mecha-King Ghidorah, it doesn't even feel like, I mean, it does feel a little stronger, but overall it's just not that worth it. Still a good unit though if you like King Ghidorah, Mecha-King Ghidorah. Ultima, same thing. Like I think B tier is really solid, especially in this tier list. So don't get me wrong. These are still good, viable, can easily get wins with these. Just have problems. Next, Space Godzilla, another very good unit, I feel, that has just some problems. Psychic Course getting nerfed does hurt him. It doesn't let him stay alive as long. Biollante ruins his life. Hedorah ruins his life. He does do very well into Leo and Batra, things like that. Train bombs kind of hurt Space Godzilla as well because they're so cheap and so spammable now. If you are running Space Godzilla, he is going to get trained on. It's going to stop those crystals and hurt him at the same time. It's really not that great of a spot for Space G overall. If you are going to run him, I feel like Tokyo is probably the best bet because that's your best chance of avoiding Biollante. But Space Godzilla also likes to be slowed in the water, so it's a conundrum. Next is Mega-Girus. Very high on her a couple seasons ago. Still is a decent unit. Has the AoE slow. Very helpful on defense. She's lost a lot of her offensive capabilities now because Fire Rodan kind of just does it way better, and Mothra Leo kind of just does it better now. But on defense, she still has her place. She still can stop a lot of things, stall time for you, stop any G89s, stop any like Biollantes, just quickly shut those things down, King Caesars. The only thing is Fire Rodan speed boost counters are slow, and overall she just doesn't contribute that much on offense anymore with Psychic Course going down. So she's just a middling solid unit right now. Kiryu, I also dropped down to B. Kiryu always sits in A, but honestly, it was kind of, I feel like it was a stretch, man. I don't see people use Kiryu that much and like win that much with him. He does have a place, especially with Psychic Course getting nerfed. He is a lot better at assassinating Super X's now. But with, I'll just talk about Mog with Kiryu right now. With Energy Base getting, or with Train Bomb getting buffed, taking out Energy Base, Kiryu and Mog have kind of lost that role in taking out Energy Base because, like, just use Train Bomb, right? And then you're looking at their other roles. So Kiryu can take out Super X. Mog can too. I feel like Kiryu does it a lot better. And then dropping on the leader with your push is the other use you have for them. And they still do that okay. I just don't feel like they do it well enough to warrant a spot. But they still do it, you know, well enough to get wins and be a solid B tier choice. I think Mog and Kiryu are both fine units to use. But like I said with Leo, Kiryu and Mog have the same exact thing where they are goddamn useless on defense. So you're really wanting to use them offensively as much as possible. And the problem with them is they suck on defense and you have to hold on to them for the right moments too. So I feel like when I use Kiryu or Mog, I'm pocketing them a lot of the time. So just for them being pocketed, not able to be deployed on defense, they're kind of more of a B tier pick to me right now. And yeah, I feel comfortable putting them there. Next is G89. So G89 is an absolute powerhouse of a unit. A lot of mid to low level players think he's just an absolute freak. Like, how do you stop this dude? He just gets stopped very, very easily in top ranks. It's super hard to run him. If you just saw me use my Mothra team, we got absolutely clobbered. We won Sun games, but they weren't, you know, you saw it for yourself, I'm sure. And if you didn't watch that video, don't. But anyways, G89 hits really hard. Your goal with G89 is to get him on the leader and execute that mofo. Problem is he gets chunked down way too hard. Batra does too much damage. Batra boosts other things, so they're all just hitting him insanely hard. And then Kamacuras are everywhere right now. So if you are running G89, you need Biollante. Like, you just need her. I don't know what you're doing without Bio. And he does work well with Mothra and Gigan, and his teams are fun, but he's extremely counterable. Even Anguirus right now. You just drop an Anguirus in front of your leader. Anguirus is going to take like 3 shots. G89 is usually going to die with the help of something else. It's just very hard to get him working. But he is still a powerhouse. If G89 is on the leader at full health, he's clobbering that mofo. So he always has that going for him. It's just getting him there. It's very, very, very challenging. But in overtime, G89's not bad because, you know, he doesn't have as much of a walk and he is pretty tanky, so. But you're pocketing most of the match at that point. You know, G89's pretty at the bottom portion of B right now. Next is Mothra. Mothra is also a pretty good unit. When she evolves, anyways, she does hit pretty hard. She's not exactly the tankiest, but she's a flyer in 4 cost, flies fast. Problem with Mothra is Mothra Larva is harder to evolve than Batra. It doesn't do any damage, doesn't provide a buff like Batra Larva does, so it's not contributing in any way defensively. And once you do evolve her, she's not going to carry like Batra can, because she's a little bit shorter range with pretty low health as well. Like, she only has like around 2,000 health. Basically a melee flyer. She's like as close as you can get to a melee flyer without being one. And her AoE isn't that massive, so it's kind of rare she hits multiple enemies. She does do a lot of damage on leaders and just tanky units, but she gets popped by the other flyers before she can really muster up enough damage. And then she has the short range, so she's attacking second. She just has a lot of negatives, even though she's a pretty quality unit overall. Next is Gigan. So very high on Gigan. Don't think he has a place yet. He doesn't really have the levels. And because he's a 4 cost, he kind of needs the stats, you know, because it takes him a lot longer to get them. So he needs those levels. But Gigan, being 4 cost, is a lot more usable than other 4 stars and will be in the future, because he doesn't have to be S tier to be usable. Because he's a 4 cost, he's a lot more easy to slide in. There is the Sande combo. Whether you love it or hate it, it does exist, so that is something that is in his favor. And he's just overall very nice. Ideally, I think if everyone had like above, you know, if Gigan's in the double digits, I think he'd be closer to A tier. We'd have to see how the meta changes once that happens. He is still a ground unit and not very tanky, so I don't think he'll ever be S tier unless the Sande bug becomes absolutely bonkers. But he is pretty solid. Next is Minilla. Manilla's just a very basic. I think it's like one of the weakest things you can have in a meta team. You know, it's like very bottom of the meta, I think. It's 2 costs. It's not a huge risk to run. It's the same thing with Kamacuras. It's very easy to throw in your deck. You don't need a lot of investment. So Minilla can be a nice placeholder. I just feel like as you climb, Minilla gets worse and worse and worse. The lower rank you are, I feel like Minilla is a lot better. Like if you're below King of the Monsters, below Grand Champion, I think Minilla is probably like an A tier pick. It's just very easy to run and you guys should be investing in it. It could even be S tier, honestly, because of how much he can contribute at an early level. But as far as like the best players playing against each other, Minilla is just not really contributing that much. And even when he does get off his stuns, it's not like a huge thing. Like, I don't feel like it's as nearly as huge as like what Kamacuras can do defensively. Next is Jaguar. Singular point, he is just, I just feel bad for this guy. Super X just ruins this guy's life. Just absolutely, Super X ruins a lot of units' lives, honestly. But it just extremely ruins Jaguar's life. And Anguirus and Biollante ruined Jaguar's life. Anguirus is just tankier at 4 cost than Jet Jaguar ever could be. And the only time Jet Jaguar is better than Anguirus situationally is against Godzilla Earth or Godzilla 89. But even then, Anguirus deals with them pretty well. And then you have the other side, Biollante, who is a far superior AoE attacker. The only time Jet Jaguar is going to do better than Biollante is maybe on Tokyo. But even then, the AoE range is a lot less massive, so Biollante could be potentially damaging more enemies, which would lead to a higher damage output. Jet Jaguar is a solid unit that does well into a lot of things in the game. He just isn't better than 2 units right now, which kind of can do his job better than him. And Super X, an S tier unit, counters the shit out of him. So he's just in a kind of a rough spot. It's hard to get him to contribute, I'll say that. Next is Sande. Sande is just a very basic slow. It can combo with stunning units like Mecha-King Ghidorah Leader, Minilla, Gigan. But other than that, it's only good with Ultima, Earth, or something like that. Super X. It's okay. Next, we'll go a little quicker with C3D. So Godzilla 21 is out of the game. Overall, he's just pretty frail, hard to get to the leader. He does do an infinite amount of damage, but it really just doesn't work as well as you think it would. Kong, I've been doing a lot better with Kong lately. My Kong's level 10, and I've been kicking ass with him. He isn't like popping off, you know, that's why he's still in C. Like, he's not going insane, but he is usable. But he's not in the game, so even if he is like doing a tear with me, it's just, you know, it's not like, I don't think he fits into like any other team than the one I'm using. Like, I can't imagine a situation where Kong works. But he does do pretty nice attack overall. He has access to G89 boost, so he can be doing a lot of damage. The only thing is he's just not really tanky enough to walk all the way down there and survive, so you kind of need to keep him healthy. Burning Godzilla, a lot of people think Burning Godzilla is really good in like fixed battles. I have played against it, you know, a couple times. I don't play fixed too much, and it was alright. I just don't know when it's going to happen in ranked, or if it can happen in ranked. The problem, I'll just say Burning Godzilla and G54, they're very similar, so I'll talk about them together. They get poked down by Super X so goddamn hard before they can enter the fight. So they are under-leveled. They aren't that tanky. It's hard to be tanky in this game, you guys. If you're not passing Anguirus HP yet, you're struggling. And the fact that these guys can't do that for a while, very slow, it's just not looking too hot for them. And it's very hard to use them in ranked. Next is Shin Godzilla. So, I'm sure most of you, if you are watching this just for the Shin Godzilla take, you're very curious as to why I put him in C. Maybe you think he's better. He's just not. Shin Godzilla has huge problems. So I was ripping on Ultima for not being the easiest evolution. Shin is a double evolution. So if you have to evolve something twice, you're not getting it till like the game's halfway over. And that's if you pulled it off. So then let's get to that point. Let's say you perfectly evolved Shin, no problems. How good is he? He's not that good at all. He is not worth the double evolution 7 cost. No way with how he is right now. The AoE attack is very, very nice. It is his best quality. It is his only good quality. Everything else in his kit needs help. He has too low a health for how slow he is. He's so slow that he's going to get pecked really hard by Super X. And he's just way too frail for a 7 cost double evolution. Like, he shouldn't die that quick. Attack wise, he just doesn't do enough damage because of his health isn't as high. He doesn't have enough time to do that much damage. I just feel like he should be doing more in those fights, whether it's a health boost or an attack boost. There needs to be some larger contribution. I also feel like his AoE attack maybe could be a little bigger because it's hard to activate because he gets stuck on ground units a lot of the time, which pretty much makes him useless. You know, he just kind of turns into a shitty 7-cost tank. That they should reward you for getting access to the AoE a little bit more. Also, when Shin Godzilla lands on an enemy leader, he only activates the AoE if it's a flying leader. That's so stupid. You're telling me it takes a minute to march this guy down there after evolving him twice, if you can even manage to get him down there. And he's not even going to have an AoE attack on the enemy leader? That means as soon as he locks onto the Godzilla 89 leader, they're just going to drop Batra and nuke him. Like, dude, like, how is that going to be ever possible? The only possible use Shin Godzilla has, meta-wise, is defensively. Because he can't push, he's so slow. So you'd have to Gigan rush him if you want to try to offensive or Biollante. But I don't think that's very good. I don't think he's that strong of a pusher. Because he doesn't have his AoE attack on the leader. But defensively, you know, he can help you in the right situations because you could deploy him where you know flyers are coming. So I think if you're running a Kiryu leader, Shin Godzilla could potentially work. I don't think he's going to be the best option still with how he is right now. But eventually down the line with some buffs, I really do think Shin Godzilla with a Kiryu leader sounds pretty strong. But overall, very disappointed with Shin. Design-wise and kit-wise, honestly, it's pretty good. I'm not disappointed as far as like how that turned out. As far as his viability goes, I'm pretty disappointed. He needs some buffs, and I hope they come sooner rather than later. Unfortunately, even if they do come, his level is going to drop back down to whatever we have him at, which isn't going to be level 10, so Omega, unfortunate. Next is Mecha-Godzilla, no buffs. Ever since the 3-star stat change way back, if you remember that, this dude's been trash. Maybe he's okay at the mid ranks and the lower ranks, but he's just not able to pull his weight at all, even for 4 cost. M-Bob base, very niche, don't see it too often. It can be annoying, but it's not exactly something that's going to be dependent on to win games. Rodan 64 is, I am not high on this unit. It's so frail. It dies so insanely fast in King of the Monster rank. It doesn't have any time to do DPS. The only time I've ever seen Rodan be any chance of useful against me is when it hits my Godzilla Earth. And that's only because it could do like 3-4 attacks before it dies. Even then, it's not taking it to half, so it's not like it's taking him out. But I just do not like Rodan. I see level 30 Rodans and it just breaks my heart. I want to see this unit get buffed. I do like Rodan as a kaiju. He's one of my favorite Godzilla monsters overall. So I would like to see Rodan 64 get buffed as well. 3 cost would feel very nice for Rodan. I would very much like to see that change. Next is Markalite Cannon. It doesn't move. It is 5 cost. And it does hit hard, but it gets outranged by Super X. So it's just not very good. Trains also exist now, so even if Markalite was doing good for you, if trains come, it's not a good time. Next, I'll do the swarms together. Kama Swarm and Destoroyah Larva Swarm. They both get taken out by AoE, insanely easy. They can be okay with no AoE options on the other team, but okay is not very good. You know, okay is just they stay out there and can tank a little bit. But overall, just run the 2-cost Kamacuruses. I don't know how many times people got to say it. Get rid of the swarms, run the 2-cost Kamacuras. Believe me, even if you're ahead, you're thinking, nah, man, this guy TS Dragon, man, is so stupid. I got like 5 more Kamacuruses up in here on the... No, just please, listen to me. Please. It will help you. Let me help you. Let me help you. Next is Dorats. Dorats, I think, are D tier. They're just pretty useless. AoE destroys them. King Hedorah just absolutely annihilate them. The only thing they have going for them is that they can do that other units can't do is DPS at 3 costs. But they can't DPS because they die to everything. They don't hit flyers well because they just die. They could do like a couple attacks, like little tic-tac. It just, they don't contribute. They just do not contribute. Shout out to comics again, because it's the only guy I've ever seen Dorats do anything. I can't even explain what he did because it's just so impossible that I know no one's going to do it. And it wasn't even that good, but it was so impressive that he actually made them do something that I just got to shout him out again. Next is M-Boss. I'm going to move back to D tier. It's, yeah, they can stun lock something. I never see these goddamn things, not even once. I feel like if you are going to try M-Boss, just do the M-Boss base. You can get an infinite amount more for 2 more cost. It feels like a lot better option. Next is Missile Strike. Just a trash train bomb. There's really 0 point to be running Missile Strike. Yes, it could take out energy base and bases and things like that, but train bomb does it for 2 less cost and more damage. Missile Strike is almost a joke. The kid ship, 6 cost, brutal. What the F in hell is that? Please reduce the cost to 4 for the love of Gorgonzola. Next, Gigan. Alright, you want to fix Gigan? Just listen. I'm not going to explain why he's trash. Here. HP at level 30, 3,100. Attack, 750. Boom. Don't even have to change his cost. Boom. How hard is it to change those numbers? Please do it. Jet Jaguar. Absolute garbage tin can pile of crap. This guy is almost in the same boat as Gigan. Just boost his stats. 3,000 HP. Freaking 600 attack. Boom. There you go, buddy. You do not, even then with those stats. Jet Jaguar is just so bad he has to be a tank. There's no other role he could possibly have. Unless his karate chop is doing like 1,000 damage. He just can't. Next is Stealth Bomber. Just trash Gigan. It flies. If you want me to sit here and talk about Stealth Bomber, meet me in the parking lot. Next is Attack Helicopter. Attack Helicopters honestly don't do that bad of damage. They just get killed by every single flyer before they can even attack, so they're almost goddamn useless. Maybe at the very lowest rank they can be kind of useful because flyers aren't around as much, but definitely not up in here. Alrighty, so that is our tier list. I'm happy we're able to get this done. We failed the recording once. I'm looking at the record button now. It's on. That makes me happy. Hopefully this gets uploaded and I don't have to do this again or I might die inside. Kind of tough having to talk about the same thing twice in a row, so that's why we changed the format a little bit. But let me know what you guys think. Any changes you'd make? Any changes you thought I did well? Any I did bad? Just let me know. Always like open discussions. Leave a like, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next video. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon.